Charlie Chaplin, a documentary. On April 16, 1889, one of the most iconic figures in American film industry was born, and oddly enough, he was born in England. He was born into hardship and poverty. His father died when he was 10, and his mother was mentally ill. Charlie and his brother Sidney had to fend for themselves from a very young age. He took up the stage with Sidney and became a tap dancer. From there, he went on to plays and eventually became a comedian. He traveled to America, and the American audiences loved him. He was a writer, director, producer, and editor.
Charlie Chaplin's innovative way of producing comedies took the world by storm, and many producers still follow the templates that he provided. He nearly invented slapstick comedy, which inspired films like The Three Stooges and Abbott and Costello. His most famous role, and what he is most remembered for today, is The Tramp, which was first introduced in the Keystone comedy Kid Auto Races at Venice in 1914. It was characterized by its bowler hat, baggy clothing, scruffy look, and a classic toothbrush mustache. It also sympathized with social outcasts, shined a good light on problems that people of society dealt with, and taught us to laugh in the face of hardships.
Other films Chaplin produced during this period include The Kid in 1921, A Woman of Paris in 1923, The Gold Rush in 1925, and The Circus in 1928. Chaplin made films up until his death on the Christmas of 1977. His films were a great comic relief in a recently war-torn world, and still prove to be hilarious today. He was the closest icon that the Roaring Twenties society had to a universal cultural center.
Chaplin's relevance today is unmatched. His character, the Tramp, is arguably one of the most identifiable roles in cinematic history. Several of his films are stored by the National Film Preservation Board, a federal program seeking to store films with cultural value in the Library of Congress. Some of the titles include The Kid, The Gold Rush, and The Great Dictator. At his prime, Chaplin was one of the most famous men of the 20th century, and some would argue that he was even more popular than the Beatles. Chaplin's impact on acting, directing, and comedy has had an everlasting effect on today's society.
This documentary was researched, written, and produced by Matt Krogstad, Eric Rosenheim, Jake Barr, and Molly Muha.